next one is putting weight on your traps. So what I'm going to have you do here, lay on the bench like you're going to bench. This one I actually picked up from J.M. Blakely many years ago. I want you to go ahead and you can put your hands on the bar, just don't pull it out. I want your upper back tight, your shoulder blades together. Now, put their feet on the bench. Yeah, so your heels are there. Now what I want you to do is throw your hips up into a bridge, higher, higher, higher. Let the weight come into your traps. You feel all that weight on your trap? Put your feet on the floor. You can put them out in front of you, pull them behind you. You can do whatever you want to do. Get that same feeling in your trap. Is that it? Okay. People will ask, how do you find the proper foot position? That's how we do it. Go ahead and relax. We're looking for that upper back tightness and the weight on the traps. So what I'm going to have him do now is just start warming up a little bit. I'm not going to say anything at all. I might speak to the camera, but I'm not going to cue you a bit. Because what I want to see is I just want to see his normal bench. So I don't want you to change anything. I just want to see his normal bench. And the reason I do this is I want to make sure that he's warmed up. So if I have him start warming up with different technique, then he's not going to be as warmed up as he needs to be if I do have to take him over 50 to 60% range to see if there's going to be a breakdown. The second thing is, as he warms up a little bit, I want to watch and see what how his technique is. You never want to change anything that's not broken. You only want to fix what's broke. The other thing is I want to know how many things I do have to fix, and then determine which is the most important. For this video, we're going to fix everything, okay? But if it is somebody I'm working with, and I will let him know, and I'll let you know in the video what the number one thing is, because you always fix one thing at a time. You don't try to fix everything, because then it just becomes a disaster in the other direction. So go ahead and start warming up. There's a lot of things that I noticed, but I have to ask questions before we continue. Are you benching to get your bench stronger, or are you benching to develop your chest? In other words, is this strength or bodybuilding you're looking at?
Probably strength.
Strength, okay. All right. And one of the things that I noticed right away is his elbows are going much lower than the bench, which means that your grip is in too close. Why do you choose that grip?
It's mostly with the shoulder.
You got shoulder issues there?
Yeah.
And what are the extent of the issues? You don't know?
It's kind of bothered me. I probably heard it maybe a little over a year ago, just doing stupid stuff.
Okay, and bringing it in feels better for your shoulders?
Yeah.
Okay. This becomes like a tricky situation, because to increase the bench, we need to fix the shoulder. So now all of a sudden we have to be directed to a different direction to try to help the shoulder, because the bench that you're doing right now, the distance is way too long, and actually the shoulder rotation is greater than if it was out further. Going out further is going to hurt more, okay, because there's more stress being put onto the shoulder, but the actual rotation is greater too. So there's ways around that where we can go back to a better bench grip, and we're going to lower the weight anyhow. So we'll go back to a better bench grip, and while you're working on getting your shoulder better, we'll go off half a foam pad or a 2-board or something to restrict the range, so you can still work the bench technique that you need to work to get stronger, lessen the impact on the shoulder while the shoulder gets better. What you're doing right there, just by moving it in, it feels better, but it's not going to help the shoulder get better. You're putting it's not even a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
All right, it's like having a cut and then just, I don't even know how you would explain it. It's maybe it would be a Band-Aid, but it's a crappy Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tape Band-Aid, so when you go to rip it off, it's going to pull the scab off with it. It's not a healing Band-Aid. The other thing I noticed warming up is he had, with 45 pounds, which is about 15%, he did 4 reps. He did 2 sets of 5 at 135, which is 45%, and then a set of about 3 at 165. For a total of just over 20 repetitions. Anything that happens under the 50% range when you're trying to work technique is the most crucial, because that's the easiest point to do that. So more repetitions need to happen at the lower percent, or more sets, not really repetitions. Your rep range is great, 4 to 5, 3 to 5, right in there. That's great for warm up for strength. But I'd rather see, especially because of the shoulder, I'd rather see 2 or 3 sets at 45 pounds, 2 or 3 sets at 95 pounds, 2 or 3 sets at 135 and then work up that way. That way your warm-up sets can get, or your total warm-up reps will be around 40, 45, which is going to put more blood into the shoulder to help it warm up better. And you're going to increase that. I'm going to say it's going to increase volume, but really anything under 50% doesn't happen, or doesn't really affect volume that much. But it affects repetition. And everybody knows that technique is influenced by repetition. So if you're doing programs to where you're only getting 20, 25 total reps for that exercise, but you're trying to get it better and your technique needs help, I do believe I read years ago that it takes 1,000 repetitions to change a motor pattern. You may want to look that up to be sure. I'm sure, if any therapists know, they can put that in there. Well, if that's the case, and we're trying to change a bench pattern, which is a motor pattern, 1,000 reps at 30 reps per exercise done once a week, that's why people's bench don't go out from technique. So you got to get more on the back end. So we'll go ahead and we're going to break it down to the bar again, and then we'll start working on changing something.